I'll do it tomorrow night at InterVarsity at Merced. Anyways, it's been good. I came here in '97 as a freshman. Stayed in, West Lothian? Come on! Okay, all you West Lothians that are all excited and happy, it's awesome, but back then, dude, the place was a dump. Can I just tell you? It still is? Alright. Man, I mean, I walked into my dorm room thinking like I'm all excited. You know, I grew up in Cerritos, Fullerton. Any of you guys? Yeah, come on. Alright, so I walked into West Lothian, the cave. I was in B1, and I thought this was going to be awesome. I walked in, and the furnitures were from the 60s, you know? And I was like, oh man, and they had dust bunnies all over and stuff. And it was just the craziest experience, and I was so... you didn't have like, was it Pentlands? Is that what it's called? And you didn't have like, okay, simmer down, right? We didn't have that in, in '97. What we had was East Lothian was the new dorm, and then A&I, and then West Lothian, like if you got stuck with it. So I got in West Lothian, and I was so bitter because I wanted the newness of East Lothian, but I wanted the ability to keep the doors open like A&I. And so it was, what are you going to do? But my college experience was great here. I talked to Warren on the way here, Warren Hino, and we were just sharing about he was like all excited. I don't know, Warren's got tons of energy. I don't know how he does it. I'm like, dude, I'm already wore out, and I'm not even married or have kids, you know what I'm saying? So, which by the way, I got engaged last Tuesday, so come on. Hey. 32 years old, there's hope, okay? There's hope, all right? My roommate here, my old housemate, apartment mate, whatever, when I was in college back in, it took me 10 years to finish undergrad, but in 2003, I think it was, 2004, my homie over here, Chris, he's now a teacher here in Moreno Valley, so give it up for Chris. Actually, it's funny because I want to share this journey that we have with God. Isn't it amazing? Like, sometimes I look back, you might be like, what are you talking about? I'm only 18. Most of you guys are probably freshmen. From my experience, it's always like the freshman class is huge. Sophomore class gets like kind of, it whittles down a little bit. And then by the time you're a junior, senior, like those guys, you can hardly ever see them. But Chris and I, we became roommates in college. I was at Cal State San Marcos because I had dropped out of school and went to go minister in San Diego. And I fell away from the Lord and really ran away from my calling, but still I had this relationship with God, but was really involved in all sorts of stuff that I shouldn't have been involved in. And I shared that like 2 years ago when we had, maybe some of you guys were here when the call came to town, and I shared about there's no condemnation for those of us in Christ Jesus, and I shared my story. And maybe one of these days I'll get to share it again. But while I was running like Jonah from God, I remember I was in my U.S. history class, and we had this professor who loved to be controversial, like just loved debates and controversy. And there was this guy who would always sit like one seat or kind of near the back, not fully all the way in the back, but he'd always make these comments that were pretty like outlandish a little bit, but really stirred up conversations, and it was really, I actually thought it was really hilarious, but it was kind of like also provoking towards arguments, and I'm like, I'm not that big into arguments and that kind of a thing, but I remember like during that time of my life, I had to move out of where I was living, and I don't know where you are on the spectrum of, where you hear, do you believe God speaks and all that kind of stuff, but I have to believe that God speaks because obviously we've said yes to Him. I mean, like if God doesn't speak, then what was the deal that caused us to actually say yes to Him? Say, Jesus, I want you in my heart. I want you in my life. And so I had this weird little inkling thing, like I was praying and I was saying, God, where am I going to go? I don't know where I'm going to live. And I remember I was sitting in my U.S. history class and this guy was making all these comments and I'm going, Lord, like just tell him to shut up, okay? Come on. And then the Lord, and I was asking God, who do you want me to live with? And God tells me, talk to Chris over there. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I am not going to talk to you. You remember this, Chris? And I talked to Chris. I did not know him. He was hilarious, but sometimes I was like, oh man. And so I was like, okay, what's the deal? And I talked to Chris, and then he told me, like, let me get back to you. And then, like, I think next week, he was like, my roommate's actually moving out in less than a month, and I need a roommate. And I'm like, get out of here. This was like in the middle of the school season. So I was like, in the middle of the semester, and I was like, man, I believe God speaks. And so my hope tonight is that God will speak to you. And I have to tell you, I mean, like, our relationship, our friendship was awesome. When we lived together for 2 years in San Marcos, and it was sweet. We had random crazy stuff, random drunk guys knocking on our doors late at night, because we lived right behind the jail. And that very night, like, seriously, like, it was Vista, actually. In Vista, right behind the jail. And, like, we were watching the news. And, like, he was working in produce at a supermarket chain. He'd come home late at night, and we'd just hang out and chill out. And we were watching TV, and I think it was raining that day or something. And we were watching the local news, and it was like, jailbreak. Someone escaped out of jail, out of the Vista, jail. And they're out, and cops are all on alert. And that's, like, right across the street from us, right? And then right after that's done, you hear a do, knocking on the door, and we're like looking at each other like, are you expecting anybody? And we're just freaking out, and we open the door, and there's this guy just totally drenched, and he was drunk, and it was just interesting. So we had all these memories. We went to ESPN. Are you guys sports fans? Come on. Got to go to Bristol, Connecticut. We got all expense paid trip. Chris had went to Taco Bell. Okay, and you see like these, those sweepstake boxes, like you fill out a pad. You see them in the mall. You see like a Cadillac or Mercedes, and you fill out the little pad and you throw it in the little slot, and maybe you'll win. Well, dude, somebody actually wins that stuff. And Chris won that stuff, and he gave me a call. And he's like, "Hey, bro, I want to go. We won this. I won this thing, and I want to take you, mijo." And I'm like, "Come on, let's go!" Right? So I'm like, "Yeah." Bristol, Connecticut, freezing in the middle of January, but it was an awesome trip. Loved it. And so I have all these stories that I want to share with you guys. And it's so cool just to be in this room, because I think I preached in this room 2 years ago at another moment. And I don't know if I told you guys, but I look at a lot of the equipment, like these drums and stuff. I actually helped buy these drums. There have been people who have walked before us here on this campus. And they've sowed, and they've done things, and they've prayed. And I wanted to share a little bit about the history, because I believe even where I'm at in my stage of life, I just stepped down from being a director of a local house of prayer. Actually, that's happening Sunday, so don't put this on Facebook or anything. But I'm stepping down, and I'm at this season in my life where I'm not sure what's ahead of me. And I think a lot of you, especially if you're juniors or seniors, you're not so sure what's ahead of you in life. But I believe that if you want to know what God's doing in your life and where He's pointing you to, you look at your history. And in the thoroughfares of this campus, men and women have walked. People who have been part of Asian American Christian Fellowship have walked and have loved God. And there's a rich history here that you get to be a part of. I think of Eric Chan, this guy, you probably don't even know him. He gave $2,000 or $1,500 to buy these drums as a college student. I think about John Coe, who gave his money to buy these speakers and this Yamaha mixer and amplifier. And the number of hours that we spent in prayer meetings, being encountered by God, sensing His love for us. We started AACF when I first came in '97. I was a freshman. I thought I knew everything, but I really didn't know anything. And we started meeting in Sproul, and I think like 2240 or something like that on the second floor. We were like 20, 30 people, okay? We were lucky if we got 30, okay? And we'd meet together, and we'd worship. We didn't have any of this equipment. All we had was a little janky guitar, and we'd just play and worship. And God began to do something at the end of our freshman year. And I remember as a freshman, I came in and I was like, God had apprehended my heart in high school, and we started doing these prayer meetings in '96. And it was awesome. We got 4 high school Christian fellow clubs together. It was like Canyon High, Sunny Hills High, Cerritos, and Whitney. And we got together and we would pray on Saturday nights, and it'd be like 3 hours of fire. I mean, like 3 hours of worship and prayer would just go like this. And it was amazing.